See, the issue is, bro, is that when deen is just limited to that, bro, then what ends up happening is you're going to get these petty questions all the time. When you take your eyes away from the prize, that's when disunity begins. That's when petty issues start. That's when people start worrying about ulterior motives and their own egos and stuff like that. When we start thinking on a higher level, on an institution level, on a community level, on a global level, you know what, bro? I feel that's when we can really start making proper change as well. Let's go back to Adam first when he asked the question about, do some of these influences put it on?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Faithfully Invested. Not a brand new podcast anymore. It's a pretty
very well-versed
podcast.
Yeah.
Pretty much welcome back to the Faithfully Invested podcast brought to you by the MCCA Income Fund. Today, we got a brother who's very special and dear to our hearts. In the first one was so nice, we had to do it. Go on, finish it off. Twice. Come on, bro.
This is round two.
I thought we were in sync. We're not in sync, bro.
Oh, you lost me when you said a brand new podcast. But this is round two. Round two of the podcast with Shoaib Hussain, the one and only Sunnah Guy, mashallah.
Assalamu alaikum, my bro.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ikhwan.
Welcome back, bro. Always a pleasure to have you, bro.
A pleasure to be back, man, honestly.
Look, I think we had a nice, juicy conversation off podcast.
We did.
Just a bit earlier. And I feel like it would only do justice if we kind of transition into it to begin with. So obviously we had a conversation surrounding fame and in general, like social media influences and how that can actually act as a drug or something that will, you know, pull the strings a little bit in regards to what they do and how they act behind or in front of cameras. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that.
Let's go back to Adam first when he asked the question about, do some of these influences put it on? What was your point there? Because I can respond to that properly, because that point there was very, very important.
So Shoaib, look, we see some influencers and they often have these episodes where they have these like meltdowns on screen. They sort of have these moments where they're really, I think, trying, or they are being very raw, but sometimes it comes across not authentic because it happens so often.
So often, yeah. So when you find a lot of influencers having these kind of meltdowns, you sometimes think to yourself, why does it happen? Why do they bring it on camera as well? I mean, life is private, right? You know, your private life, your struggles, etc. You don't want to share them. And one thing I'll tell you, bro, is the issue of relevancy. Influencers struggle with something called relevancy, being relevant. And the reason that is because when you get a taste of fame, especially someone who's new to it, when you get a taste of fame, it's like a drug. Once you taste a little bit of it, it's like, oh my God, this is something that I love the attention. And then after that, what ends up happening is that the crowd disperses. You're thinking, well, what's going on here? And the stuff that you were doing previously, you need that kick again, you need that dopamine hit. But how are you going to get that dopamine hit? By just doing the same thing over and over again. It becomes stale and it becomes robotic. So what do? You just do something crazy. A mental break. Why? So that people start talking about you. And that's why you'll find polarizing episodes from some of these influencers. They create their own stories. They love to create drama. And even if there is no drama, they'll pick out drama from anything random. An example is, they'll find a fight with somebody. They'll pick a battle. They'll pick an argument. You know why? Because humans are drawn to drama. Naturally, we're just drawn to it. So what you'll find is, let's say they're not getting the views that they wanted to, or they know the people aren't resharing their stuff, or they're not talking about them. Guess what ends up happening? The best thing that can happen to them is like something like a police raid, or they get locked, or they get 24-hour locked up, or something happens is that they have a car accident, or something happens. You know why? That drug is back now. Because basically what ends up happening is that they're now back on the map. They're relevant because people want talking points. And so, subhanAllah, that's why you find 90% of content creators today rely upon drama, rely upon other people's lives, what's happening to them. It's very simple. We're duped. Back in the days, our elders used to love, wrestling, WWE, etc. My granddad, right? Allah yarhamah, he passed away last month. He used to believe that they were real.
Yeah.
He used to believe, and so what happened was that He used to say to my dad, used to tell him, like, Dad, they're not real. Then he used to say to my dad, well, you go and do it then, innit? Right? So, but he believed it. Why? Because there was this drama, you know, The Rock, you know, Dwayne Johnson, he'd come up, etc. You'd have, you know, Hulk Hogan there, and there's a stare down, The Undertaker. And like, what are they doing? They're creating epicness. Translate that into even the Premier League, for example. What do they do now? Let's say, for example, you have a Champions League match. You have, for example, Madrid versus Man City. They'd make a whole full week promo of Haaland versus Mbappe. Their highlights. They're creating it with soundtracks and highlights. Why? Because they want more views. We live in an attention-driven economy. And in an attention-driven economy, you have to realize that attention and fame is currency. So what are people going to do? They're always going to find ways to bring themselves back to be relevant. Hence why a lot of these meltdowns, a lot of these things that are happening, it's their organic way of kind of just trying to say, okay, something's happening with my life. Why? Because they want that kick. They want that drug, that dopamine hit of all eyes on them. And the beautiful thing about Islam and our deen is that it shuns us away from it. It encourages us to move away from this. The reality here is that being in the public eye is a necessary evil and burden for certain people, for certain individuals. It's not something we encourage. It's not something we tell people, go out there, promote yourself, be in the public eye. There's certain things that are necessary. There are certain individuals and certain people that need to be doing this work. But majority of du'at and people who are actually people of knowledge and benefiting people, really and truly, they're in the masjid, they're on the ground, they're behind the scenes. They're the heroes that we don't see, that no one talks about. We're just the ones that have put ourselves in the public eye, and therefore the fitna for us is a lot harder. So for myself, I've experienced it, by the way. I've been through the ups and downs. But the good thing is that if you have level-headed murabbis and elders all around you and good communities and friends, you'll notice that they give you good feedback loops. So they'll tell you, okay, Akhi, I think you're doing too much of this, too much of that. And it hurts a little bit at the start. But subhanAllah, months later, you realize, you know, what they said was important. I should hold back from saying certain things. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done this, etc. Yeah, maybe it's more polarizing. Maybe it might get more views. But that's not the right way to do things. So I'm kind of still growing into it a little bit, but I've kind of learned that it's better to give genuine value out into the world and try and benefit people and use the skills of creativity and the things that I am actually good at, as opposed to saying polarized statements. And back in the day, I used to say certain things and used to kind of speak a lot about gender stuff and whatever have you, etc. The hot topics of the day. But I realized, you know what, man, that's just not the best way to put your kind of message out into the world. So that's what I've learned anyway.
You know, I had a conversation with a sheikh about something similar to it, and he was like bringing up the fact that the ummah is a little bit like, we need to grow up. The reason being is because he'll be like, every time Ramadan comes around, I always get the exact same questions. He goes, is nail polish haram? Or does it ruin the fast? Can I brush my teeth? He goes, how will we not move past this already? Like the questions have already been answered. Like they're not going to change year by year. So he's like, the ummah needs to grow up, number one. And number two, we need to actually look at the meat of the deen, you know? We don't look at the semantics anymore. And there was another sheikh that was like, if a billionaire came and he did an actual like talk and he said, I'm going to reveal all my secrets of how to make $1 billion. And he'll say, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. He goes, the first hand that will be put up from the people in the audience, the Muslim people in the audience would be, he would say, what color socks were you wearing the day that you walked in that day? Or what was the tire pressure? Like, do you know what I mean? Like our community seems to always be stuck in the semantics. So what advice would you give to the people in regards to moving away from, you know, that usual pitfall that we have?
Yeah, I think personally speaking, it's lack of vision, bro. I feel that when you have vision, you stop worrying about the details and you focus on the real actual goal. When you can start focusing on a goal, that's when I feel our communities are going to move forward and progress. The problem, however, is people don't think on that frequency. For most people, bro, deen is Jummah, something nice, maybe a lecture every now and again, you know, family, just go out, make sure food's halal, pray when you get some time, whatever, etc. And therefore, when Ramadan comes, etc., it's like, okay, cool, 30 days, we got just, you know, no more music in the house, blah, 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 whatever have you, etc. And we'll be good. And we wear like a kufi, a topi, go to the masjid, whatever. See, the issue is, bro, is that when deen is just limited to that, bro, then what ends up happening is you're going to get these petty questions all the time because people are just going to be, it's like, It's like a endless, infinite loop of just basically every year, same thing over and over again. When Ramadan comes, etc. Whatever. So I feel it's more about having vision and having care. Like with the Sahaba, bro. You know, subhanAllah, the Sahaba, bro, they wouldn't get bugged over with petty issues. The issues that were petty were in concern of the Sunnah. So for example, if someone didn't uphold the Sunnah or a small Sunnah like the beard or just whatever, etc., right? They would pick it out as an issue because of adherence to the Sunnah, of the goal, of the mission. They wouldn't care about small, little, tiny, petty issues. They were focused on the grand, on the bigger issues. And this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, that Allah Azza wa Jal, He loves the grand affairs and He doesn't love the small affairs. And therefore, when we start thinking on a higher level, on an institution level, on a community level, on a global level, you know what, bro? I feel that's when we can really start making proper change as well. The other thing with that is, when you start thinking on a goal-driven mindset of the future, of the ummah, you channel your thoughts in a different way where people are brought onto your vision, onto your mission with you, right? When that happens, you create a lot more unity. I find that the people that stay united long-term, organizations, businesses, everything, it's because there's a common ultimate goal that everyone is pursuing. When you take your eyes away from the prize, that's when disunity begins. That's when petty issues start. That's when people start worrying about ulterior motives and their own egos and stuff like that. I think the solution to all of this is being goal-driven and being focused on that, inshallah.
Yeah, subhanAllah.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
This is a completely different topic.
Go for it.
But we deep dived straight into the world of social media, how that can sort of affect you and what you've done to sort of combat those situations, and sort of how influencers have really, I guess, taken social media to the next level by exploiting it with their antics and whatnot. But I want to ask you a personal question. Since the last time we met, what's changed in your life? What changes has there been in the Sunnah Guy's life? We know that you've reached 1 million followers, mashallah. But in terms of Sunnah Guy, Shoaib Hussain, what's changed in your life since the last time we met?
So subhanAllah, I think last time I was on the cusp of a kind of new direction for myself. And wallahi, I'll be honest with you, it was actually coming to Australia that changed a lot for me. I'll be honest with you. Because I'll just be very upfront. It was the best tour that I ever did. Met the nicest people. I mean, you guys especially were amazing.
Melbourne specifically?
Wallahi, of course, bro.
Allah
I mean, bro.
Allah bless you, bro.
I've always said Melbourne has a place in my heart that I never knew.
Yes.
And that was from when I was 17 years old, right? Out of all places on planet Earth, this is the city that I have a lot of attachment to. There are people here who I'm very, very close to. And the fact is that that's kind of made me want to always come back here. Wallahi, even at the event the other day, bro, I had to just hold back the tears because I was just reminiscing of, the last year's event and everything else as well, and meeting all the people and stuff, and got to spend a lot of time with Sahel as well, and obviously yourself as well, Adam. And it was really, really good. So I learned that kind of my whole play and my posture online has to change a little bit. I have to grow and mature. I was last year, bro, I had a couple of things that I was not too happy about. I wasn't happy about my physical appearance. Just generally overall taking care of myself. I felt I neglected that area of my life quite a lot, especially as I grew very quickly. So my rise to social media was very, very fast, and it happened in a way where I wasn't prepared for it. And then I had time to think, I had time to contemplate, reflect, take moments out. And then subhanAllah, after that, I kind of went on this journey of basically just trial and error, figuring out, etc., experimenting, trying new things, etc. I've got the skill set of cinematography, creativity, I've got that, etc. Now, how am I going to really channel it and put it into use? So I made sure that, okay, cool, now, subhanAllah, I've been toured in Australia. Now, bro, I've been Canada, I've been all over Europe, I've done all those things, etc. But there was not a major full-on tour that I've done in the way I did in Australia, thanks to Sister Nadra and Olive Tree Events. So for me, subhanAllah, that's why I'm so grateful to her and the organization for doing that, because I believe it changed a lot for me. On reflection of all of that, as you can probably guys tell from my recent content on social media, I've switched it up a little bit just to really identify that. I said to myself, look, man, you have Ustad Abu Taymiyyah, you have Ustad Yahya, you have Ayman, you have all these other du'at, etc., especially in the UK. And they are giving the message and they're giving the da'wah. And that's good, and we need that. And I'm also doing that as well, right? But you see, I said, what about the non-practicing Muslims? What about the non-Muslims even? How can I reach their hearts? Because I said, we're all delivering the message to the same people. We're preaching to the converted. Nothing wrong with that really, but I said, come on man, like how can I get my message to the non-Muslims? That's what I want to do. The non-practicing, the people who are just so far away from the deen. So in June, July's time, I started experimenting with different style of videos. In previously, all my videos were about deen, relationships, etc. And the thing with that niche, the deen and Islam niche, is what can you talk about? Allah, forgiveness, mercy, hellfire, paradise, addictions, relationships, just, you know.
Jinn. They love jinn.
What's that?
Jinn. The jinn story.
I mean, the thing is, you only can talk about so many things, right?
Yeah.
And just keep recycling the same things. But there was an area that, as subhanAllah, I don't know if I should say this, but you know, like when I started really getting into the gym and physical fitness, etc., I listened to these motivational videos, etc. Like, you know, Les Brown in America is like, you have one opportunity in life, right? So when he's spitting those bars, I'm thinking to myself, yo, man, I'm feeling this, bro. As you start watching those and following those pages, etc., your timeline now, your feed is full of those. And I noticed that, subhanAllah, so many non-Muslims love this stuff. And so I said, I'm not going to do that, bro. I'm not going to be like, you know, your life has meaning. I'm not going to go all that, right? But
Preacher.
But yeah, but what I will do is let's see how we can pivot this a little bit and maybe speak about generic topics that are more motivational, more inspirational, and maybe don't mention Allah straight away or Islam overtly, but have it as like in the back pocket a little bit.
Subtle, yeah.
So I started to change the way I dress. I started to groom myself a little bit better. And then I started to put out a message into the world that I felt more people would be able to resonate with. And subhanAllah, bro, that took my account from 1 million to 1.8 in 3 months.
Inshallah.
And I noticed 60 to 80% of those followers are non-Muslims.
Oh, wow.
And my American following went up from 6% to 13%. And I was like, how is that possible? So that's crazy. And I noticed it's not Muslims in America. It's non-Muslims in America. And then subhanAllah, Usain Bolt, Jesse Lingard, all these influencers, etc. Andy Cole, Man United player back in the day, Michael Essien, they're all following, liking, etc., resharing. And I'm thinking, subhanAllah, like as in these guys are all sharing and liking my stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, how did this happen? How did it get to that stage? That's because, okay, firstly, I took off the thobe, I took off the headscarf, I took off all those other things, and I started wearing more Western clothing, etc. And then my strategy started sharpening a little bit. Now I've tried it. Now I've got the feedback. Now I'm like, okay, cool. I can really make something work from this. And subhanAllah, this has really kind of taken off now. And it's a case of now, basically, you know, subhanAllah, on my Instagram account, we have people accepting Islam all the time.
Inshallah.
Because they see that, okay, cool, this guy's, he's a Muslim preacher, but, you know, he's not really like a preacher. And I feel that's an area where I really like. And, you know, subhanAllah, like from simple things like getting invited to speak at the Gladiator Summit in Dubai.
Wow.
It's like the biggest motivational summit in the whole world, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I couldn't go because I'm here because it's just happened last week. So I couldn't go because I'm going to Australia. But things like that, for example, was like, wow, subhanAllah, people see me as like a motivational speaker rather than an Islamic preacher. Now, if I can kind of break through in that niche a lot more, that means we're speaking to people who would never have heard a message from a sheikh, for example. So that's the difference. Those are the changes, etc. And I feel I still have a lot more growing up to do, bro. I'm still figuring it out. You know, you realize when you think you've got it all figured out, you realize you really don't, and you're just trying your best, and everyone's winging it, bro. Everyone's just trying their best. But the fact is, if you keep taking risks, keep posting, keep learning from your mistakes, you learn quicker than others, and that's where you can kind of really break through in different markets, inshallah.
Inshallah. I really admire, Shoaib, your mindset. And I remember even the first podcast that we did and the first conversation you had, you even triggered a lot of things within myself in regards to entrepreneurship, in regards to, you know, sort of going above and beyond to, you know, earn money and break bread with family and whatnot. So Jazakallah khair for that. And another point, you were talking about appearance. One of the first things I said to you on the weekend at the event was, bro, have you slimmed down? Like, have you been, because I saw that your face, your jawline, even though you have, mashallah, a full beard, I could see that it was more chiseled.
Yeah.
You know, so I knew that you were doing something. You changed your diet. You did something about your appearance. I knew there was something there, mashallah. So good on you, bro. Barakallah
Thank you, bro.
feek.
Appreciate it.
You do always like these 1 minute snippets on social media about what it means to be a man. Can we move away from that 1 minute snippet and just give us a bit of a deep dive, inshallah?
SubhanAllah. On the specific topic of what it's like to be a man. Oh man, this is deep, man. SubhanAllah.
I think Suhail was supposed to ask this question, but I wanted to put it there because you were talking about social media for a second and you spoke about sort of how your following was increasing and people started resonating more with what you were saying. It's a massive shock to me that now that the American following has increased significantly, non-Muslims are starting to follow you. You're now intertwining that motivational speech with da'wah, which is amazing. But we're used to these 1 minute snippets, right? These are the viral snippets that we see. Brother Suhail and I were speaking earlier about it. Maybe not a deep dive.
Yeah, sure.
Give us a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
Give us a little bit more. We want to hear more.
Of course. SubhanAllah, bro, being a man in today's world is becoming more and more of a challenge. The tide of society is against us. Because the tide of society is against us, my brother, there is only so much that a man can take until his silence breaks. And so men in today's world are going through more pain than they've ever gone through. Why? Because our level of sensitivity has gone up. Because in the world around us, etc., it's a world full of deep and dark emotions, a world full of disloyalty, a world that will basically haunt you and harm you because if you put one foot wrong, etc. Sadly, the reality is that as a man, no one's there to pick you up, no one's there to hold you, no one's there to grab you. And SubhanAllah, bro, I say that relationships become a lot more important for a man in today's world than ever before, because we're a lot more lonely than ever before. Men in today's world are more lonely than we have ever been in history, and therefore our relationships in our lives are so critical. For example, the relationship with our fathers. I said in my most viral video, the statement was very simple. One day you will bury your father, and that day you will realize that you buried the only man who wanted to see you do better than him. Relationships with fathers today is difficult for anyone and everyone, and everyone's got a different dynamic. But one relationship, for example, there is I've noticed with my father, if we as men, for example, want to maintain our emotional and spiritual intelligence, half an hour convo with dad will make you realize that you probably agree with everything that he says, you just didn't like the way he said it to you as a child. And that's just the reality, and that's what I've learned, is that my father was right. And I learned this as I became a father myself. And I just didn't like his tone. That's all it was, bro. And so moving away from that's relationships. Your father, that's one relationship there. Now let's talk about your relationship with the outside world and your relationship with your partner and all these other things, etc. A lot of men today are going through heartbreak, are going through a lot of pain. We're not here to kind of just be pro-male only. Women are also going through pain. It's just a reality. But because I'm a man, I can speak from a man's perspective. And a lot of the times what we realize is that as a man, we don't grow up until we're a lot older. Previously, there was the luxury of warfare. Why do I say luxury of warfare? Because a man does not grow except through hardship and tests. And when he knows that his life is on the line and he has to grow up, and he knows that there's no way out, that's when they grow up. You know what's crazy? We are the only generation in history that has not had any threat of war in over 100 years. In the UK, obviously there was the war in the World War, etc. Ever since then, post World War, there's no threat of invasion. Australia, there's no threat of invasion. In America, there's no threat of invasion. We're the only generation in history that has had around a century of no threat of invasion. That's incredible. But that's also something that has created us in the way we are today. And therefore, a man has to then focus on other areas to build himself up, to keep that testosterone drive up. And how do you do that? Very simple. Late nights, early mornings, heartbreak, people being lost, you losing people in your life. That's how a man grows in today's world. Getting up, attacking the day, being someone that's driven, that's motivated, that's taking full on responsibility. And the thing is that sometimes you're forced into that position. And other times you have to muster up the courage to do it yourself. And I find that in today's world, subhanAllah, if you're forced into it, then sometimes it's a gift. Because you have to just muster up the courage and just do it. A man learns way more from an empty pocket, right? And from basically deadlines with bills than he learns from anything else. And seriously, bro, I've learned in my life as well is that the best times where I grew more than anything else was when I was dead broke, back against the wall, and you have to just fight and get scrappy. SubhanAllah, beautiful, bro. You know why? Because in those moments is when you develop the skills and the tools to set you up for life. And when you can basically lean into that, that's when you as a man can learn more about yourself and more about what you need to do to become successful. Because success isn't anything except a man's pain that he turns into purpose. And as you can turn your pain into purpose, you watch what happens to your life. Any man that can turn their pain into purpose, that can turn their trials into triumph, by Allah, this man is a dangerous man. And he can achieve great things in life. But the docile one who's comfortable and leans into his comfort, if he does it too early, he'll set himself up for failure. That's why I've said my 20s was for me to just get gritty and scrappy and learn skills. My 30s are going to be for me to build. And my 40s are going to be the years for me to create the legacy. So that's how I've seen myself. Now is my time to build. I've got my different businesses that I'm doing, etc. My 20s was when I had to learn filmmaking, the skill set, entrepreneurship, mindset, all of those things. Now is the time where I'm basically building my body, building my bank account, building my status, building my reputation, building all these other things, etc. Businesses. And then in the 40s, that's when I believe in legacy built projects, where you're basically overseeing the stuff that you built, and then you're just scaling it, inshallah. So that's how I feel men should think and should lean into their trials and hardships. And I honestly feel if we can effectively do that and help and train men to do that, I think that inshallah we can create an ummah of warriors again.
Bro, like when you bring up this having like it's pretty long-sighted vision. And I think we're in a generation now where we know, like even based off the content that you create, like 1 minute snippets, we're in a very drive-through-esque generation.
It's true.
Yeah. So for a brother who's 20-ish, 25-ish, somewhere in that range, who's currently looking at, the grit, the grind right now that they're going through, and they don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, what advice would you have for that person?
Man, in your 20s is a very, very dark phase, man. It's nostalgic because you've got a lot of emotions flying around, university, friends, relationships, heartbreak a lot of the times as well. But the beautiful thing about your 20s is that you can mess up and come back again. In your 30s and 40s, if you mess up, the pickup is a lot harder. That's why more suicide happens in between the age of 30 to 50 than in any other age range, because there's a lot more at stake, right? At 20s, you're only responsible for yourself. You could start a business, mess up, go into $50,000 of debt and come back 2 years stronger, like 2 years later, much stronger. Do you get it? So the thing is that in your 20s, it's not about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And don't let social media deceive you into thinking that you have to get rich tomorrow. That's not how things work. Or be successful tomorrow. And don't chase that. Chase the process. Chase the skills. Chase the muscle that you're building that's going to take you to when you're 30 and above. Because I believe, bro, I'll give you this perfect example, yeah? You guys came to watch the movie, right? That I made. So, alhamdulillah, it was a great success in the cinema, all that. That's what everyone saw, tip of the iceberg. What they didn't see, bro, was me sitting at my desk 13 hours a day for a year and a half, editing like a crazy madman. My headphones locked in, door locked, etc. Working so hard, not being able to see my son grow up and play his football or whatever, etc. Why? Because I'm just working hard and building that skill set. Then going on set, lighting up a set, but spending 7 hours lighting a set, seeing my cinematographer, having arguments with him, back and forth, etc. Just going back, drawing stickmen and saying, different camera angles and stuff like that, and creative direction. People don't see that. And guess what my mum said to me? My mum said to me, you're working so hard, but you're not getting paid for it? What are you doing? You're not getting any money for this. You're not getting, how much did you make from the movie? I said, Mum, we actually lost money. She said, what? How? That doesn't make sense. It's stupid. So you see, the thing is that you have to be patient with skills. You have to be patient with the grit and the grind. Because what you're doing is you're building a skill set that's going to take you into your 30s, into the future. Now, some see it earlier. Some build their skills in their late teens and early 20s, etc. Whatever they're in, real estate, if they're in kind of e-commerce, if they're in any other different industry, whatever, etc., financial services, whatever. And then they basically can start scaling that. And then they get ahead of everyone. But certain people may not even see that in their 20s. They may not even see it in their 30s. Timeline for everyone is different. And seeing the light at the end of the tunnel is different. You could be in your 20s, but wallahi, Suhail, I've seen people who are in their early 20s and they don't have anything figured out, bro. And they're so scrappy until the age of 26. And that was me. Because believe me, bro, if you had seen me 10 years ago, severely overweight, on Facebook, refuting deviant sects, right? and basically,
We've all been there. We've all been.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
That's just
You have to go through that phase,
You have to
right?
go through that
I didn't
phase.
even know what a sect was, bro, until like what, 2 years ago?
Bro, refuting deviant sects, and then basically not having any understanding of what to wear, having a banged up car, etc. And then, you know, just not knowing any kind of real direction, etc. COVID comes, etc. All that stuff, you know, life changes, etc. You go through the motion, you keep risking and experimenting. Post-COVID, etc. The movie gets made. I then learned this great skill set, which is whole creativity life cycle from like 360 all around, right? Lighting, filming, editing, all that, etc. We now start going into what? An attention-driven economy.
Yep.
The creator economy now. This is where we are. I have a skill now that has taken me and put me at the front of everyone else right now because no one else has made a movie. It's just by default. And I didn't plan this, by the way. Don't think this is some meticulous strategy, bro. It wasn't. It was pure scrappiness, just editing, just grit, bro. Putting on my flipping gown. Bro, I was like Wolverine. Like, you know what I mean? My lip hairs were going into my coffee, bro. Like, honestly, I was so like, you know, just not groomed because it's COVID, innit? Like, I mean, just indoors. And I'm just there editing away, bro. And subhanAllah, I built up this skill set and now it's helping me and now it's, you know, brought me to where I am today. So I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel until 28, 29, bro. But we're not at the end of the tunnel anyway. There's still a long way to go. There's still so much more to build. But the point being is that if you don't see it in your 20s, bro, that doesn't matter. Keep getting your head down and keep building because you can come back, right, every single time. And even after a setback, I always say, when you get knocked down after a setback and a project doesn't take off and it doesn't work, if you fall on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. So long as you can look up, then you can get up. Don't let it crash and burn you. It's not the end of the journey, right? Even if you fall into crazy amounts of debt, it's okay. Dust yourself down, pick yourself up, because what you've done, if you're not earning, then you're learning. And that's how life works, bro.
You know, one thing that I wanted to ask you about, and this is because somebody who has a trained eye will be able to see the level of detail that you put into that movie, Allahumma barik. And like you were saying, 7 hours just on set, looking at different lighting and all that sort of stuff. Like a lot of people, they, you know, like chefs complain to everybody that, you know, it takes so long to prepare a meal that somebody eats in like, what, a minute, 2 minutes?
Oh, wow.
So like, if you put it that way, like there are a lot of people that only people with the eye within that industry will be able to see the level of like detail and it takes a trained eye to be able to see how grand what you've done was. And one thing that I did want to commend you on, Allahumma barik, I'm not saying that I have the eye or anything, I started to notice that like even for example with the, you know, the AI voice and then like the little shifting thing, like bro, like for people that came to the event, they'd just be like, oh yeah, it was nice because they brought in a coffin, you know?
Yeah.
But for somebody who's actually seen it and like realized like, look at that, like that's something I can't produce. Like Allahumma barik. So I just wanted to commend you on that, bro.
Appreciate
but like, how do you feel as a person who's a content creator, similar to a chef in that same position, would spend hours on end being very like particular about everything, produce content, and then you get, that was good.
I'll tell you what it is, bro, yeah? Firstly, with regards to the whole production of the event, bro, none of this would have been possible without a visionary like Sister Nadra, right? Because there are event organizations who, yeah, they're up for it, whatever, but they're not as creative. They don't have that kind of mindset or a vision. So props to her, bro. She's really helped me exercise what I'm good at. So she facilitated it and I came in and I kind of helped bring it to life, right? So honestly, it's a teamwork kind of thing. So you need the right people in the right place. So just want to mention that. Second thing, bro, exactly as you said, and what, subhanAllah, I didn't even realize it like that. A chef spends years perfecting a dish and building it all up, etc. And someone just eats it in one go. And like, yeah, that was great, right? You know,
5-star Google review.
What's that?
5-star Google review.
Yeah, I mean that's all you'd get, right? But the point being is, I don't see it like that. I see it, yeah. Wallahi, my mindset has shifted, bro. I see that, and even this whole event, I see it as a start. You know, in Adelaide, we did an event in Adelaide, we did it in Sydney, and then we did it in Melbourne. Each time it got better. Why? We got the feedback loop. Okay, what was good, what was bad, what was good, what was bad. Runtime, etc. AV, lights, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Sydney. What was good, what was bad? How does this work? Okay, time on stage, come off, etc. Okay, that didn't work. That was cringe, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Melbourne, perfected it. And the thing is, bro, is that I'm still seeing this as a process. Bro, people can praise it or not. People can come up to me and be like, yeah, it was good, it wasn't, etc. We're here to change the da'wah space, bro. We have a skill set that can do this. I don't want to do stale, stagnant lectures anymore, bro. I want to impact the hearts. When we're sat around the campfire that we do in our local area, and we have a little soft nasheed playing in the background. Yeah, you know what? People will say it's cringe. I have seen people change their lives because of the deep emotions that have been put into the hearts of these young men. Wallahi, I've seen it, bro. I've seen leaders come out of these retreats, these campfires that we do. So I know, bro. I've seen it firsthand. So no one can tell me and say to me, oh, it's cringe. Yeah, say it to me, no problem. But I know what it does. When we brought it here, yes, it's a risk because it's a big stage.
Yeah.
That's why both the nasheeds, for example, when Sheikh Wa'il and Ahmed was going on, I was in the kind of AV room, just making sure, monitoring that is the nasheed level too high or too low. So I was just trying to get it right. I was on the phone. We were figuring it out because there's a balance between it being overpowering and it being less, etc. Then you got the coffin, then you got the AI voice, etc. All that sort of stuff, and the Quran ayat and the videos and the cinematics and all that. Bro, all of this, I'll be honest with you, is like the same mindset that I had in 2020 when I'm editing the movie. Bro, I'm just learning right now. That's all I'm doing. I'm just learning. You can praise me or not. I'm learning right now. And I'm a student. I'm a student of my own work right now. If this works, great. We can take it to the rest of the world. And that's when people start to follow and copy and try to do these things. I'll give you an example now. You know the whole black shade at the bottom of every video with the logos at the bottom?
Yes.
Yeah, so I started that about 2-3 years ago, right? And now I see everyone doing it. But I moved away from that now.
Yeah, where's Omar? Tell him, bro.
Yeah. But I moved away from that. So if you do something in a way, I just needed that black shade. Wallahi, this is how it works. I needed that black shade at the bottom just so I can crop more of the video in because it's a 9:16 vertical format, right? That's all I was doing it for. And then the logos at the bottom, that was because I had some sponsors that wanted to be in the video. But now everyone realized, whoa, that's like a good way to get sponsors in. Had your logo at the bottom, etc. So I saw everyone copying that method, and that's good, alhamdulillah. Like, it's nice to see that, right?
Yeah.
But then I moved away from that, and why? To experiment, to try something new, to try something different. So I'm trying to stay ahead. And if I can help pioneer the space, then why not? And I'm happy that other people follow and other people have success as well, because that's what the ummah is all about, right? But for me right now, it's a case of, we tried this event. It worked here. Okay, there's still a few things that I'd like to change. I'd like to add this. I'd like to add that. You don't settle, bro. The worst thing you can do is pat yourself on the back. Oh, that was a great event, and that's it, bro. Go celebrate. Oh, pop a bottle, and oh yeah, we're all happy. Bro, that's not how life works, bro. Man,
obviously,
come on.
Vimto, yeah.
Vimto, of course, bro. Of course, come on. So for me, whether someone gives it a thumbs up or doesn't, feedback is nice. But my eye is very much focused on how we can help impact the hearts of the believers all over the world. That's been my mission, to get people to Jannah, and that will never change.
Well, very well.
We talk about mindset. Yeah, can I intrude in?
Of course you can.
So we talk about mindset, and we talk about how, we love the mindset that you have. And I was a witness before the event. I saw you fine tuning, and he was like so meticulous. He was telling the AV guy in the AV room, the fade out needs to come in a bit soon. And I didn't even know what a fade out. I was like, this guy's talking a lingo. I have no idea what he's saying. He's like, can we just put it a bit sooner? And so you were fine tuning meticulous. And now I understand this is as a result of the feedback you received from Adelaide and Sydney. So now Melbourne, Sydney was good, Adelaide was better, and then Melbourne has been the best.
Absolutely.
Right? Inshallah goes worldwide.
Inshallah.
With Olive Tree.
Inshallah.
And the Sunnah Guy. I don't know if MCCA is going to be part of the worldwide tour because we're only for the Australian community. But nonetheless, I think, inshallah can go bigger and better.
Inshallah, man.
And we can see it everywhere. Because honestly speaking, bro, like, we really appreciate the work you do. We appreciate all the events that you do. That's why we always want to support you when you come down to Australia. I think it's so important that organizations, get behind this sort of thing and stick with Olive Tree and the Sunnah Guy and everything they do with, obviously, Ahmed Harachi and the Muslim Undertaker.
Absolutely, man.
Mashallah, Allahumma barik. So, what was I getting at?
I think we're just we're a bit tight on time, so I think we're gonna.
You're saying mindset. I think.
Gonna ask about maybe finances as we usually do.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can talk about. We asked him last time. Mashallah, he gave us some really good points.
Yeah, especially with the diversifying the income
Yeah, sure.
streams and stuff. So yeah, bro. Like, look, as in a nutshell as possible. Obviously, like a year's passed. Maybe you've learned some new things. Like, what one advice or piece of advice would you give to people who are watching this now about your finances that you've learned over the past year?
Over the past year, yeah. So I started a couple of projects. In the last year, and I was really excited about them. I even presented it here in Australia, MGN, Muslim Global Network. So what happened? How long do we have, by the way?
Maybe 5 minutes.
Can we stretch it like 10?
Of course, yeah. No worries.
Okay. So, all right, what happened was, I'll paint you the picture of what happened. So there's a lot of lessons in this. I started it. The whole concept was loads of different experts coming together, teaching people, cheap price point, great. I learned very, very quickly that model is unsustainable because experts want something back in return. They want capital gain. So they want monetary, a return. They want money. I was selling them on exposure, on these sort of things, etc. I learned very quickly that doesn't work. Experts, you need to give them what they want. They've got exposure on their own platform. What are you going to do to give them exposure there? They want money. And that's fine. No problem. Well, it's good. So, and I couldn't give them that because I was waiting for people to sign up. You need people to sign up to get the money and then to pass it over to the experts, etc. I learned that there was way too many moving parts. And it wasn't a model that was scalable long term. And so then I kind of spent about 6 months working on it. And I had to pull back. Because you need to know when to move back, take a step back, and to pivot. So what I did is that I said, this is too heavily dependent on other people. Certain experts would come, they'd charge a fixed fee, like bloody $1,000 for a session, okay? And then other experts didn't even turn up on time. And then the live calls, people were waking up at 7 a.m. in Australia to watch like a 45-minute session on addiction. Doesn't make sense, right? And then we're paying these experts. I'm thinking the model isn't right. We did try to stretch out and try to push it. Didn't work, fine. Like set us back, fine, 6 months, no problem. You have to take the hit. Cool. If it worked, it would have been great. It didn't work, no problem. All right, so you have to take your failures, right? You have to accept them. But you have to learn. If you don't learn from them, then what's the point of it? So I learned, and then I said, okay, cool. What's the one area that I can just absolutely niche down in and be good? Because first we were doing fitness, finance, deen, relationships, content. No, what's what I'm good at, etc. I said, I'm good at content. So I was about to hit 1 million followers in August. And I said, okay, when I hit 1 million followers, I'm going to make an announcement. I'm going to say, for example, anyone that would like to get content creation mentorship by me, register here. I put the announcement out, 5,000 people applied. I'm like, my jaw dropped to the ground. I'm like, what the hell? 5,000 people, crikey, that's crazy.
Crikey, he's picked up the lingo.
I was like, far out, mate.
Steve was
5,000 people.
right now.
Anyways, so what happened was, I said, hold on a second. That validates the market now. 5,000 people doing this. So subhanAllah, I said, okay, let me lean into this now. So then we built a system. And then I said, hold on a second. So now I'm mentoring people on content creation. And they're happy to pay a lot of money for that mentorship, for me to give them all the secret sauce. And alhamdulillah, the people that I'm mentoring now, their followers have increased, their views have increased, everything. They're very grateful and stuff. And we're building something together. And now I'm doing group mentorship as well, inshallah. And I realized, bro, this is so much better because it's on me and I can come in and I can work. Guess what I learned? You have to be agile in business. You have to know when to move back, when to pivot. Marketing departments, all these things, they're employees. They will always just parrot whatever you tell them or they'll do stuff. As a business owner, you shouldn't work in the business, you should work on the business. Knowing which direction we're going in. Is this a dead end? Let's claw back, let's go that way. Okay, let's go that way. Don't do it too quickly. See if something's scalable. So this is what I've learned. Business is one thing. It is finding a MVP, minimum viable product that works, that can then be scalable. Stay small until you figure it out, then grow. Once you can do that, bro, that's the formula, bro. You see what I'm saying? If it's not working, why are you trying to scale it? If it's not working, why are you trying to make it blow up? No, it's just the concept isn't there. Once a concept has been validated, stay small, make the money, get see that does this revenue work? How much is my ad spend? What is my customer acquisition cost? What is my ROI? Is it all working? It's working. Everyone good. All right, let's blow it up. So then it becomes a numbers game. More people, more money. More people, more money. But you don't get there until you have an MVP. You have a system that basically works, and then you scale that. So that's what I've learned in this 1 year, bro.
We have a conversation to have offline, inshallah, bro.
Inshallah, bro.
Jazakallah khair for joining us again, Brother Shoaib. Wallah, it's always a pleasure. We might hire you MCCA, inshallah, because we might need a few tips. But
You do a good job with marketing, bro. MashaAllah.
I'm alright, you know.
He's alright, man.
He's a good bloke.
Jazakallah khair, bro. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, bro. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and continue to shower you with success.
I mean, I just want to say also for you guys as well, both tours you've sponsored, you guys have, alhamdulillah, like, I know maybe directly there's not like, that kind of big ROI, but I know that you guys support the da'wah work. You guys come in and you guys have always been committed. And even from my conversation with Sister Nadra, you lot have been, very, very loyal, supportive. Wallahi, we appreciate it because that helps us get the message out to people. So thank you, and may Allah accept it from you guys as well.
Jazakallah khair. I know you aren't going to do it anyways, but I'm just going to ask, like, comment, subscribe, please. And have a good one.
What makes you think they're not going to do it, bro?
I'm trying to reverse psychology them.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.